Snow fell silently over the city streets, blanketing the world in white. Most families were gathered around fireplaces, sharing laughter, warmth, and love. But Alexander Reed, a single dad and CEO of one of the biggest tech companies in New York, wasn't thinking about Christmas cheer. He was on his way home after a long board meeting, his heart heavy with loneliness despite his success. As his driver slowed the car near an alley, Alexander noticed something unusual. A small figure curled up against a pile of trash bags, shivered under a torn blanket. He ordered the driver to stop immediately. Stepping out into the bitter cold, he approached cautiously. To his shock, it was a little girl, no older than 7, her cheeks pale, lips trembling. She clutched a broken teddy bear as if it were her only friend in the world. "Sweetheart, what are you doing here?" Alexander asked, kneeling beside her. Her big brown eyes opened slowly. I didn't want to ruin Christmas for anyone," she whispered, her voice weak. Something broke inside Alexander. He had been chasing wealth for years, yet in that moment, standing over a shivering child who had nothing, he felt poorer than ever before. He picked her up gently, wrapping his coat around her small body. "You're safe now," he whispered, his throat tight. He didn't know who she was, but something told him this little girl was about to change his life forever. Alexander carried the little girl into his mansion that Christmas Eve. The warmth of the fireplace seemed to startle her, as if she had stepped into another world. His young son Ethan, who was about the same age, peeked from behind the sofa, his eyes wide with curiosity. The girl clung tightly to her ragged teddy bear, nervous yet grateful. "What's your name, sweetheart?" Alexander asked softly, kneeling beside her. She hesitated before whispering. "Lily. Lily," he repeated gently. "You don't have to be afraid. This is your home tonight." The cook quickly prepared hot soup, and Alexander watched as Lily devoured it, her tiny hands trembling around the spoon. Ethan slowly approached and placed a gingerbread cookie in front of her. "You can have mine," he said shyly. Lily's face lit up with a faint smile, and for the first time that night, Alexander felt Christmas spirit fill the house. Later, as Alexander tucked Ethan and Lily into bed, he couldn't stop staring at the fragile little girl sleeping beside his son. Something about her tugged at his heart, an odd sense of familiarity. When he stepped back into his office, Alexander called his lawyer and instructed him to contact Child Services in the morning. But even as he spoke the words, his chest tightened. He wasn't sure he could let her go. Little did he know, the truth about Lily's past would not only shake his world but also bind their lives together in ways he never imagined. The next morning, sunlight streamed into the mansion. Lily awoke to the smell of pancakes, blinking in disbelief at the beautiful dining table set before her. For the first time in years, she felt like a child again. But Alexander couldn't ignore the nagging questions. Who was she? Where were her parents? Why was she alone on Christmas Eve? He sat across from her, his voice gentle but firm. "Lily, do you remember where you live?" Her eyes darkened. She lowered her gaze to her plate. "Mommy got sick. She told me to be brave. Then one day, she didn't wake up. They took me to a house with other kids. But I ran away. I just wanted to see the lights in the city." Alexander's heart sank. She had no one. He excused himself, retreating into his study where he clenched his fists, fighting back emotion. He knew the pain of loss all too well. His wife had passed when Ethan was only 2. He had buried himself and worked to cope, but seeing Lily reopened wounds he thought had healed. That afternoon, Child Services arrived. A woman in a gray suit stepped inside. "Mr. Reed, thank you for reporting this. We'll take the girl now." Lily's face turned pale. She ran to Alexander, gripping his arm desperately. "Please! Don't let them take me. I'll be good, I promise." Her trembling voice pierced his soul. Alexander stood frozen, torn between what was right and what his heart screamed. And in that moment, he realized, Lily wasn't just another child in need. She was meant to be part of his family. "Wait," Alexander said firmly, placing a protective hand on Lily's shoulder. The child services worker paused, eyebrows raised. She's been through enough. You're not taking her until I know her future is secure. Mr. Reed, the woman replied. We appreciate your concern, but procedure requires. I don't care about procedure, Alexander interrupted, his voice steel. This little girl deserves love, not another cold institution. I want custody. The room fell silent. Ethan peeked around the corner, eyes wide as he held Lily's hand tightly. In that simple gesture, Alexander saw it, the bond forming between his son and this fragile little girl. The worker sighed. You'll need to file adoption papers. It's not simple, especially with your demanding career. Alexander straightened, his CEO authority undeniable. Then I'll make it simple. My career will never come before family again. Days turned into weeks. Court hearings, background checks, endless paperwork. Alexander faced it all. Some doubted him, whispering that a billionaire CEO couldn't possibly be a nurturing father to 2 children. But every night, as he read bedtime stories to Ethan and Lily, their laughter filling the halls, he knew he was fighting for the right reason. Finally, on a snowy January morning, the judge's gavel struck. Custody granted. Lily clung to Alexander, tears of joy streaming down her cheeks. Do I really get to stay? She whispered. Alexander hugged her close, his own eyes wet. Forever, sweetheart. You're my daughter now. It was then he realized, Christmas hadn't given him a gift under a tree. It had given him something far greater, a family complete. A year later, the Reed mansion glowed brighter than ever before. Snowflakes drifted gently outside as the grand Christmas tree sparkled with ornaments chosen by little hands. The sound of laughter echoed through the halls, laughter that had once been missing. Lily was no longer the fragile, frightened girl Alexander had found on the streets. She was radiant, her cheeks rosy, her smile wide as she hung a star on the highest branch with Ethan's help. Careful! Alexander laughed, holding them steady on his shoulders. After dinner, as the children unwrapped presents, Lily handed Alexander a small box. This one's for you, Daddy. Inside was a hand-drawn picture, 3 figures holding hands beneath a glowing tree. Above it, in her careful handwriting, were the words, My family. Alexander's throat tightened. He set the drawing on the mantel, where it would stay forever. It's the greatest gift I've ever received, he whispered, pulling both children into his arms. Later that night, as the fire crackled, Alexander reflected on how much had changed. Success, wealth, business deals, none of it compared to this feeling of belonging, of purpose. He had set out to build an empire. Instead, fate had given him something far richer, the chance to heal, to love, to be loved in return. Looking at Ethan and Lily asleep by the fire, Alexander whispered to himself, This is what Christmas is all about. Hope, love, and family. And in that quiet moment, with snow falling gently outside, Alexander Reed finally understood the true meaning of miracles.